Do you expect to be back at the table later today?
If they absolutely tell us that they're ready, we will stay up all night to get a deal done. I think I said that in my opening remarks. Okay? Over and over again. We want a deal done. We are ready. We are calling. We are practically begging CTU to come to the table so we can get a deal done.
Practically begging the Chicago Teachers Union to agree to finally go back into schools. So if you're wondering, am I exaggerating? Am I going too far by dumping all over the teachers unions right now across? The answer is no. Here you have a Democrat mayor in a very Democrat city who is making it quite clear that the teachers unions are just holding kids hostage because they want more stuff. It's not just about, air filtration systems. Give me a break. No, they want more stuff. They want more funding. I'm sure what they're going to do is say that they need all this funding for COVID, but then anything they don't use for COVID can be used on other things too. That's how this game is played. Public sector unions are a blight on our society. They should not exist. And that was known from the very beginning of the formation of unions in this country in the early 20th century. But now here we are dealing with this and seeing exactly who really does care about the kids, the children. Let's put Randy Weingarten on TV again. Teachers just want to teach. Yeah, sure they do. Teachers unions, though, want to make sure that they're turning the taxpayer upside down and taking all the pennies they can out of their pockets while the country's in a crisis and kids are suffering and parents are suffering. The teachers are understand this. There are now places where the teachers are vaccinated and they're still complaining about how they don't want to go into school. So you get to the front of the vaccination line, you're vaccinated, but you still don't want to go in. Oh, COVID. I'm sorry. At some point, this is too much. At some point, this is people being afraid of their own shadow or pretending that they're afraid of their own shadow, which is a problem in and of itself. In some ways, a worse problem. At least real fear, I have some sympathy for, although we need to deal with it and convince people to stop being so afraid all the time. Otherwise, we're just not even going to get our country back. We're going to be sitting here in a year with the Biden administration. Joe Biden's going to be up there giving speeches. He's going to have 4 masks on and goggles. And, we're still trying to, we're believing the science here. And sure you are, buddy. They're not going to relent on this, because what has happened is that the Democrats and the media united to create a zero risk tolerance in the American psyche for communicable disease. So we got to get to zero risk. Okay. And if you're at a zero risk tolerance, then you're never going to get back normalcy. Now you might get closer to normal. I know that there are places, New York is opening 25% indoor dining. They're going to give you little tastes of it here and there to shut you up, and you better be grateful for it, peasant, or else. But they're not going to say you don't have to go around. I mean, I'm now in the gym. I've actually been able to go to the gym and work out recently, which is nice, and working off some of those COVID LBs, a lot of COVID cookies. What can I tell you? But it's starting to work. But I sit there. I'm doing deadlifts and doing whatever I can in the gym. I got this stupid mask on. I'm alone in a gym with a mask on because people are paranoid and they're lunatics about this whole thing. That's where we are. I've never even seen a senior citizen in my gym. Okay, so start with that. Never even seen one. But it's a private gym. Anyway, here we are. We're living our lives based upon the exaggerated fears. And remember, it wasn't just fear that came about it by itself. It was the media. It was CNN with the COVID deaths on the screen every day, right? It was putting all these experts on TV who were saying we're gonna have 2 million deaths unless we do these lockdowns. And it's now, teachers unions acting like it's a death sentence for them to just show up and do their jobs. Can't do their job. Not important enough for the teachers unions to actually have to go to this. And you got people like Cuomo out there who are, Cuomo, I think, is really now the single, he's the epitome of Democrat governance in the pandemic. And which is very instructive because New York has had the worst results of any state in the entire country, really. But Cuomo goes around acting like he's done a good job. But remember that attitude I told you about, as they start to give you back some degree of normalcy, as they start to restore some autonomy, not all, of course, just a little bit in your life, you better be grateful for it. These tyrants don't want to hear about how they're idiots and they were wrong, like Cuomo all along. They don't want to hear that. Governor Newsom, Governor Polis, Colorado, all these governors, not Governor DeSantis. He's just running around basically doing victory laps because he's like, look, the data speaks for itself. We're all supposed to care so much about the numbers. Well, we look at the numbers. I don't know why Texas was disappointing in this regard. It really, really was. As a state, Texas should have been better off. It should have been more willing to hold the line, but they weren't. But here you have so many people that I think owe apologies, and Cuomo at the very top of the list. And he's saying about reopening reopening restaurants in New York City at 25% capacity, which is not enough for them to really stay in business. He's saying, be thankful or shut your mouth. Play 6.
Some restaurants say 25% isn't enough. Look, 25% is better than 0, and that's where we are now. If the numbers continue to get better, that number will go up. If hell develops and the sky falls and a new variant explodes onto the scene, then we'll have the opposite problem statewide. But if the numbers continue to get better, then we will continue to increase the numbers, right? It's an economic metric. It's a number.
Yeah. You hear that about the new variant? You think they're going to just let you go back to your life and they're going to relinquish these dictatorial powers they've taken? Our freedom has been under more assault in the last year than at any time in my life. And yet people are just, they're ordering pizza and watching Netflix and thinking it's all going to get better. No, we have a fight ahead of ourselves now. With this Biden administration, it's gotten a lot worse, don't you see? Oh, there's a variant out there. There's a whole bunch of COVID cases that pop up. Got to shut down again. Next fall, you think that the variants are all going to go away? You think there's not going to be stories about a mutation here or there, and all of a sudden, maybe it's not effective against the vaccine? Better mask up, better social distance. They've conditioned society to think that this is normal now. And people go along with it. People are buying into this. And they're listening to people like Cuomo, who are out there pretending that they've made good decisions, pretending that they've known what's going on here. And this is him talking about the nursing home report. Remember, they hid 50% of the deaths in nursing homes in New York State. They said initially it was close to 9,000. It was more like 12 to 13,000. 50%. Okay. It's a big deal. Here he is on that report, just saying, whatever, play 5.
A third of all deaths in this nation are from nursing homes. New York State, we're only about 28% only, but we're below the national average in number of deaths in nursing homes. But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died. And I dealt with the loss of my father. The pain is so incredible and inexplicable, and why, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
His father did not die of COVID, as far as I understand, so he's just doing this whole misdirection, give me sympathy thing. This guy signed an executive order, and that executive order resulted in many people here in New York, where I live, losing family members because they were unnecessarily exposed to COVID in the worst possible circumstances inside of a nursing home. That's what happened. He can do all this talking about his leadership. He can write his book about COVID lessons. And now he can tell us to be thankful for 25% indoor dining, even though, speaking of the numbers, they thought that maybe 1% of COVID transmission was happening in restaurants. This is what I mean about a risk-free society. 99% of transmissions happening elsewhere, but restaurants have to be shut down. Okay, well, maybe you should hold your breath for 30 seconds, 10 times an hour, and that might prevent a couple COVID cases, a handful across the country. What, you don't want to save lives? You mean to tell me there's some level of idiocy, some level of authoritarianism that's too much? Gosh, that's not, what are you, some kind of a libertine? Some kind of extreme libertarian or something? You don't think the government should be able to tell you how you can breathe, when you can breathe? Oh, you must not care about grandma. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.